Do the trashy pulp novels of the world have anything to offer? Are bestsellers all they're hyped up to be? The Terrible Book Club explores whether or not you really can judge a book by its cover or its ridiculous synopsis. If you've ever seen a book and thought, ugh, who's reading this? We probably are.
Hello and welcome to episode 112 of the Terrible Book Club. I'm Chris and this is Paris.
Hello.
This time we read You're Going to Mars by Rob Dircks. This was published in 2018 by Goldfinch Publishing and was requested by our patron Lucek. He requested we read this saying, it's not the worst book, it's just the wrong kind of fiction for me, I guess, but I think it'll be fun listening to you discuss certain parts. It was his birthday on May 20th, so happy birthday, Lucek. Hooray! Woo! We hope you enjoy this extra special birthday edition of your Patron's Choice episode.
All right, Chris, do we want to do a happy birthday song?
Yes, here we go. You ready?
I'll try, yeah.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Lucek.
I don't know what key I'm in.
Here's a Terrible Book Club for you.
Tried to go for a harmony and I fucked it all up. Sorry.
No, I'm not even in key at all, so. If this is your first time listening to the show, what we do here at the Terrible Book Club is read books that we assume will be bad based on their cover, title, summary, or some combination of those three. Sometimes, like today, we read books that our patrons, listeners, or friends recommend, so we do the opposite of what most people do in a bookstore or when they're browsing Amazon. Usually, this experiment results in a disappointing read, but once in a while, we end up liking the book. Content warnings for today are our usual barnyard language, of course, and we've got some stabbings and death and near-death experiences and general space malarkey. So if you're afraid of being like sucked into space or being on a spacecraft, this episode might not be for you. Sure, yeah. Other than that, mostly fine. All right, here's the back of the book summary.
Man, Chris is just taking off. He's like, fuck you, Paris. You don't.
I'm efficient, Paris. I get work done.
Oh, no, it's great.
Mumbling around and, hemming and hawing here. All right, back of the book summary. Living and slaving in Phil City 1, you get used to the smell. We call it the ever-present stink. But every once in a while, on a spring day with a breeze, it clears away enough to remind us that there is something more out there. Most fillers' wildest dreams would be just to get past the walls and live in the mainland. But my dream? It's a little bigger. I'm going to Mars. Well, I'm only going to Mars if I can find a winning red scarab to get on Zach Larson's crazy reality show, and then I'll have to figure out how to escape this hellhole, and then compete on live television for 3 months, and somehow win a spot on the crew of the very first manned mission to Mars. Oh, and one more slight obstacle? There might be a reason that by 2085 a human still hasn't set foot on the Red Planet. A dangerous reason. A reason worth killing for. In You're Going to Mars, Rob Dircks, Audible best-selling author of Where the Hell is Tesla?, creates a near future filled with family, the good kind and the insufferable kind, pop divas, mobsters, and the world's first trillionaire, and sends them all on a science fiction odyssey / comedy / love story / adventure that will change their world forever.
All right. Thanks, Chris. All right, so these are our characters and setting, and then I will embark on my own journey to the vast space that is the fucking summary for this book. It's a long one.
It's another long one, y'all.
All right, characters and setting. We have 3 sisters named Rock, Paper, and Scissors.
Haha, funny joke. It's jokes. This is a joke book. It's a book that's funny. It's got jokes.
I actually wouldn't say it's a book that's funny or has many jokes, but,
It's trying to be funny. It's very definitely trying to be funny.
Trying to be funny. I actually like the rock, paper, and scissors nicknames for the three twin sisters. I think it's cute.
This whole book is basically that kind of a joke where like you might internally breathe out your nose where you're not actually doing it, but like your brain knows is doing it.
It's the internal version of like it's not even that. It's like a quarter of that.
Yeah. Just imagine in your brain going.
Anyway, rock, paper, and scissors are three twin sisters. They are all fillers. Their grandmother, Nana, their dad. I don't think they get names. Other filler people, the Gaetano crime waste management family, Zach Larson, the trillionaire, the other contestants on the You're Going to Mars show.
I started listing them here and just gave up.
There were a lot. There's Claire, Aurora, Benji, one named Tanner, which is funny to me because that's my boyfriend's name. Then we have, let's see, rock, paper, and scissors mom, Jane, and Voom Voom, her half-brother, who is a small child who just says Voom Voom all the time.
He says other things too, but
mostly Voom Voom.
Yes.
Various, federal agents, and then the rest of the Mars mission crew on the High Heaven, which is the spaceship that they go to space and then Mars in. Captain Dan Daniels is the only one, though, who really matters there. Rock, paper, and scissors do actually have, legal names. I forget what the other two sisters are, but Paper, who is our main character, her real name is Robin. So Paper and Robin are the same person. Please keep this in mind. All right, listeners. We're going to the summary.
We're blasted off to the summary.
All right. In a future version of the USA, Paper Ferris lives in Phil City 1, a garbage dump / city owned by the Gaetano family. The Gaetanos own Wasteway, a waste disposal and fuel production corporation that owns many such cities across the country, across the world, in which its denizens are owned by the Wasteway Corporation and never allowed to leave on penalty of death. These people are known as fillers, and they live there for up to 8 generations. Paper is a 3rd generation filler. She is adept at engineering and math and has dreams about exploring space, specifically about going to Mars. But luck would have it, the first manned mission to Mars is being planned by Zach Larson, an Elon Musk alike and first trillionaire ever. He's giving one spot on the crew to whoever wins his reality TV game show, the titular You're Going to Mars. The spots are awarded to people who find lucky red scarab tokens. Paper's Nana has a token for her, which is technically impossible because of their filler status, since they would never be allowed to legally leave the city. However, Paper's fellow fillers band together to disguise her and sneak her out with a few treasured possessions. Once outside Phil City 1, Paper meets up with her estranged mother, Jane, who was part of the whole escape plan. Jane's kind of an all-around jerk with another child that she jokes about also abandoning. That's Boom Boom. Jane is also an adept engineer and is convinced that the Wasteway Corporation is hiding something nefarious related to an undiscovered element based on some hunches and digging that Jane had done when she worked for Wasteway years ago. Jane is assisting Paper in getting all the way to, LA? California, to actually get on the show that she now has a ticket for, in the hopes that she would go to Mars, and uncover the element on Mars that is the center of the conspiracy. After they have a run-in with a corrupt toll booth officer who tries to steal the scarab from Paper, they reach the site. They get on the game show, or Paper gets on the game show just in time. She ends up meeting the rest of the contestants, including Aurora, who's a pop singer, who is assumed to have simply bought a token because she's so fabulously wealthy. Same as several of the other contestants. I think there's 23 or 26 in all?
22, I think, is the final number. It doesn't matter. Anyhow, Aurora shows up is later than Paper. She's drunk, and they kind of have a back and forth throughout the whole book. Contestants get a brief orientation. They're introduced to each other. Then they get split up into teams. They're all colored teams. It's yellow, green, blue, red, I think. Mm-hmm. And the show is divided up into 4 segments, each of which will last a few weeks. So there's, and after every week, one of the teams gets eliminated until there's only one team left.
And this is sort of a Big Brother-like or Survivor show where, quote-unquote, every moment is broadcast to viewers worldwide. And the audience is able to like contestants to give them points. And the contestants also win points on the show from the show creators by doing things. So it's this like big dumb social media reality TV experiment. The first few weeks are like intense physical training. A few contestants wash out. Paper saves her team by creatively breaking the rules of the big physical challenge that they had to do. And then the next section is them trying to live in a simulated Mars atmosphere where there's like a bunch of hijinks and things go wrong, and then someone actually tries to sabotage the fake Mars habitat and kill everyone. But of course there's like clever Paper and Aurora. They fix everything, and they continue on. After the second segment of the show, Aurora betrays Paper and reveals that she is a filler to everyone, and they have to turn her over to U.S. government, or I guess
to the Gitanos.
The Gitano government, sorry. They have to turn her over to the Gitanos because she has to be murdered according to whatever bullshit extradition treaty we have with the filler cities. But Zach Larson, the show creator, hints that he doesn't actually want this to happen to Paper, even though he lets her go. Paper gets picked up by the Gitanos, and she runs into her mom again. Her mom had actually given her like a quote-unquote get-out-of-death-free card or whatever. It was like this little chip or something that would supposedly save her if she ever got picked up by them. So they, she ends up getting in prison with her mom anyway. So they try to talk their way out of imprisonment with this like special, get-out-of-death-free card or whatever, which turns out is actually a trigger that would set off the dead body database, which Jane had created, Paper's mother Jane. When Jane worked for Wasteway, she figured out that the landfills were full of high-profile dead bodies from murders, and she used their DNA to triangulate exactly where they were in the landfill, which doesn't make sense for another reason, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah. The pretty obvious reason why that wouldn't make sense.
Yeah, and because some of these high-profile murders included like the president, some senators, like other famous people, and then like a bunch of the fillers strike because they, it's revealed on the show that Paper is a filler and they don't want her to die, so all the filler cities go on a strike. And that, combined with the potential of revealing the dead body database, is enough to let Paper and Jane live. And mysteriously, there's like a member of the Gitano family named Angel who is just into Paper, even though they've never spoken for more than a few sentences.
Remember that whole love story part? Here it is randomly.
Yeah, Angel helps Paper and her mom, and Angel and Paper fall in love? For reasons. Yeah. So Paper gets to leave the Italian mob waste management family prison and go back to the competition. And then on the third segment, they're supposed to do the third segment, but then the U.S. Senate has suddenly decided to outlaw travel to other planets because they're scared that humans would fuck up the planet, which, like, fair. Yeah. We do fuck up everything we touch as humans. But,
sure. But it's clearly, like, hastily done through some backroom deals for some shady reasoning.
Right. So they literally have a vote, like, in the middle of the night or early or something so that they can get it through. So Zach Larson is like, fuck them, we're going to Mars. So they take the mission, they end up going right to the stage where they actually go to space and decide they're going to eliminate the last team while in space and just send them back on lifeboats, and then send the final person to Mars. So then they end up getting into space. Once they're up there, some hijinks happen. Aurora and Paper end up having the exact same number of points. So Zach allows them both to go to Mars. They go in a cryogenic chamber for the trip, and they wake at Mars a few months later. Captain Dan Daniels, who was kind of the head of like their teacher, their like space teachers or whatever, he was also their I guess main astronaut, like piloting astronaut. And he tries to sabotage the mission because the Gitanos are holding his family hostage, because it turns out Jane was right all along about the conspiracy, about, you know, a secret element on Mars. So Paper finds the, you know, the new element, and we find out that it is a super fuel that is very light and very efficient. So the Gitanos wanted to hide it because the Phil cities with all the garbage power the world with fuel and various other forms of energy. So if this Mars element was found, they wouldn't be needed anymore. So, ta-da! They end up incapacitating Daniels, or Paper and Aurora, and then they actually, on the spacecraft, figure out how to convert the Mars element into usable fuel, fix the problems with the ship that Daniels had sabotaged, like he killed their AI or something, and they are able to return to Earth with everyone else, and Zach Larson died on the way back to his home planet. Whoop! So
The end.
the one casualty is Zach Larson, R.I.P. Paper gets to go back to her family at the end, and everything is cool and good.
Also, Zach Larson was formerly a filler.
Oh, sorry. Yes. Important piece. Turns out Zach Larson is also an escaped filler. So many questions. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. That's the summary.
That's it. You
Those
did
are-
it. You
those are all
made
the
the
things.
round trip from all the way to the end of the summary and back. It's 3 months later. You're out of your cryogenic coma.
Oh. All right. So let's talk about things that were good. Things we liked about this book. I almost actually just said, does anyone have any questions?
I'm teaching a class here.
Yeah, good. Questions that I can't hear or answer immediately. I mean, I guess if you have questions, send them in to the show, but I can't answer them here. So I don't know why I was going to say that. Sorry.
Okay. So this book is fine-ish, right? Like, compared to a lot of the other stuff we've read for this show, this was an easy breezy read, man. Like, I went through it in a couple hours on my couch. It wasn't a painful experience. It was fine.
I mean, it's certainly like a book that was edited and written by a person who is, you know, of sound mind and maybe put together some drafts and like had an outline. I mean, it's certainly better organized and better written than many things we've read, but I still think it's pretty bad and didn't need to be written. So I agree with you. It was very easy to read. I mean, it went by like that. I don't know if I feel like the pages in the electronic version of this were very generous. Like, when I was thinking, oh god, this is going to be a 470 page book, I thought it was going to take so long, but it took no time to read. And I don't know.
Maybe the font was big in the print version?
Yeah, maybe it was. Anyway, it was easy to read. I will agree that there were very few typos or grammatical errors. I mean, the dialogue was silly. I think a lot of the time.
There was like a cute moment early on in the book. I think we both liked this, where the filler family, rock, paper, scissors, Nana and the dad are all sitting around the table, and they have this like game they play where someone says they had a difficult time and someone else tries to one-up it. It's like, oh, I had to walk uphill both ways in the garbage. Oh, you were able to walk? I had to crawl. That. And
then someone goes, you had feet? Like, that was, yeah. So one of the good things about this book is that the way the family, so rock, paper, scissors, Nana and her dad, the way the family is built, like your relationship with them is built and expanded, I think was very good. They felt very real to me. It seemed, their family relationship made sense. I felt like all of that was good.
It was somewhat charming, too.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, the way the family interacted, the way they were described, it felt felt natural, made sense.
It was a nice way to get introduced to the whole filler worldview and mindset.
Yeah. Second thing I liked is actually the fill cities and the idea of fillers and stuff. I mean, the idea that people would elect to be enslaved for 8 generations, I don't know that that's...
That seemed a little hard for me to really swallow, but
I mean, historically, there's such thing as indentured servitude, right? Like,
yeah, but 8 generations is kind of nuts. I don't know if anyone would sign up for that. Maybe some people would. Anyway, the idea of fill cities is really interesting. So you have this place, the centralized places where all of the waste goes, and then it gets turned into fuel. And I just think that that's a cool idea in itself. Like, at the beginning of the book, I was like, oh man, I'm so into this. This is a really cool concept. Like, people
the slavery part is a little
but like, you know, I was like, I don't know, would people really do this? And then I was reading about when they were founded in 2025, and I was like, looks at calendar. Yeah, a couple years from now, people might be that desperate. Okay, I'm on. All right, like,
I'd sign up to be a trash person forever if it meant I got to have a trash house of my own that I didn't have to necessarily pay rent on.
That's the deal. Everyone gets their own house and land, but they have to live in Fill City forever. They can never leave. So in whatever Fill City that they, I guess, sign on for.
To be honest with you, like, I know this is a part that we were talking about we liked, but like, I don't get why they couldn't leave. Like, what did the Gitanos gain from them never leaving? What's wrong with them stepping outside sometimes?
I think it's just because the Gitanos were a mob family and they just wanted control over literally everything. And they probably wanted to use the Fill Cities to hide their crimes. So you don't want people leaving if they've seen crimes.
Okay, yeah, but it can't be so many crimes all the time. I don't know. It just seemed to like overstepping things.
Yeah, I agree that
just for the sake of the Gitanos being evil.
Yeah, it definitely had, like, the whole you sign your 8 generations of your family away thing definitely had the feeling of, like, how do I make this evil and extra bad future-y, you know? Like, how do I make this super Mad Maxy? Ah, yes. But anyway, I think the idea of these, like, cities that are built around recycling waste into fuel is really cool.
Yeah, not a bad idea at all.
Yeah, and I was very bought in at the beginning with the description, because you start off learning about fillers and then like getting into the paper and her family, and I was like, all right, this is gonna be cool. All right, I'm here. This is good. And then my opinion changed. But Chris, you can move on to the next thing you liked.
Yeah. Another thing I liked in this book is that women are just on equal footing with dudes, right? Like there's not. Paper is just an adept engineer, and it's not like that's like pointed out because she's a lady, it's any different or anything. She's just good at that. People accept her that, yes, of course she would be fine and good at that. And there's plenty of women in positions of power in the book, and it's, you know, it is in the future, so perhaps like, you know, things have somewhat smoothed out in regards to that by
it's
by
2085, so
maybe
64 years from now.
Maybe, but I just like that it's very flatly just, yes, some women are good at things, some women are bad at things, some dudes are good at things, some dudes, like, it's not played up for anything. It's just part of the fabric.
I'm glad you pointed that out, because that was actually something that I didn't really think about. But yeah, good point. And in that respect, and in actually some other respects, this book reminded me a lot of the Labyrinth. What was that book called? Something Labyrinth, Time Cops, the Time Cops book. The
Aeon Legion?
Yes. It reminded me a lot, actually,
Labyrinth
of Aeon Legion.
Time Cops is the better title, clearly.
Excuse me. It reminded me of Aeon Legion Labyrinth by J.P. Beaubien.
So there it is.
I believe our 14th episode?
No. 18. I think it was 18.
18th episode, long ago. But it had a lot of similar flavors to that book, like strong female character, sex equality or gender equality, like future that is, well, I guess the other one was a little more unbelievable, but, you know, future time stuff, space stuff. Yeah, I don't know. It just had, and it had sort of a young adulty feel to it as well.
Yes.
Which is what made me think of that. Anyhow, Chris, your next point about what you liked, I think, I don't know if you want to do that one or what.
No, I'm going to skip right over to this like second to last one here, where like this is a type of fiction that I kind of let slide on a lot of things, I feel like, because I guess I like it when you're trying to be a little bit funny. Sometimes it's grating for sure. Like even in this book, there's a couple of times where I'm just like, okay, can we stop trying to be funny all the time? But there's like this particular, I don't know what to call this particular style of fiction. It's like sarcastic or irreverent fiction. Hounded kind of fits into this mold a little bit because that was like trying to be a little funny. You Suck was along these lines as well. Something like Monster Hunter International isn't that. That's like kind of the opposite line where like he's trying to be like cool and sarcastic in a character in Monster Hunter International, but it's not overtly trying to be funny a lot of the time. It's sort of like in that Terry Pratchett / Douglas Adams vein, even though those two are much more funny, much more often. Where like everything is like every third or fourth paragraph has some kind of gag or joke or some kind of attempt at being jokey.
I mean, I'll agree with you that it's trying to be irreverent fiction. I just don't think it gets there. It never once makes fun of itself or the genre that it's in. I don't think it succeeds in, like you said, it doesn't succeed in being all that funny. There was one line that got me, and then I liked the joke you already mentioned. So 2 things that I can think of offhand. I mean, for me, it reminds me of like, so Demon Pig, we read that several episodes ago. Demon Pig is a much better version of this sort of irreverent style, but Demon Pig succeeds in that it makes fun of itself and the genre that it's trying to nest within, whereas this never really does that. Everything is at face value the whole time. And, I mean, don't get me wrong, Demon Pig had some similar problems, which we'll get to in a minute, but this is just kind of like rainbow popcorn with glitter that will give you a cavity. Like, that's how this book feels to me.
Yeah.
It's like too wholesome.
It's very sugary.
Because it's so wholesome, it actually becomes lame. And the way that the author tries to fix this is like, I'm going to say dog shit and fuck. And it's going to be cool now. And it's like, you can say dog shit and fuck, and that doesn't make your book, that doesn't elevate your book at all.
That's my new curse that I'm going to use whenever I like stub my toe now. It's like dog shit and fuck. Like,
oh, there's dog shit and fucking damn it.
Okay, but Paris, is there a name for this style? Like,
I think irreverent fiction is, but it isn't that. That's the thing. It's trying to be that, but it doesn't succeed. This feels like an all too wholesome young adult book.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And, we'll get right now. We're going to launch into why it is that, because we're going to go into the things that were not good segment. Come along with us to the things that were not good. All right, biggest problem with this book, it's another hero's journey where the main character is very special and there's a band of helpers that help her and nothing ever really goes wrong or fails. And whenever it does, there's a backup plan, there's a backup plan to the backup plan, the backup to the backup plan, and everything's always fine.
So Paris, I just want to clarify here. Are you saying that any use of hero's journey to you is lame, or like the way it's done here?
The way it's done here and in many books we've read where the main character is very special and they always have a band of helpers that get them out of any jam. Those parts of the hero's journey are the things that I don't like.
Okay, but by virtue of being a protagonist, they are special, right? Because we see things from their viewpoint, I suppose, if you're doing the hero's journey.
No, I'm saying special. Maybe you're misunderstanding the use of the word special here. They're always special because they're always extra magical, extra strong, extra hot. Like, they're always hotter, stronger, like, better, faster, fuck me, Daft Punk, whatever. They
did just break up. I really wish I could have had that Daft Punk orgy or threesome with them at some point. But
harder, better, faster, stronger. That's. I think my problem is that they never really have flaws, and when they do, something always gets them out of their flawed mistake. Like,
yeah, I'm trying to actually think of like a flaw Paper had besides being like maybe a little scatterbrained sometimes. She
has no flaws.
She's like great at engineering.
She is a perfect, kind, lovely woman.
Always being so nice.
Well, she's written as just like the most wonderful person. And I guess those people are out there, but like, it doesn't make for an interesting book.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Paper's flaw might be that she like doesn't like her mom so much because her mom abandoned her, and there's like some tension in that relationship that she actually tries to get over.
I feel like it's not really a flaw.
Yeah, I'm reaching here, Paris. I'm reaching. This is the whole point here is I'm like trying to at least point to something, you know, but
yeah, it's hard to say. So yeah, and some examples, just because obviously y'all didn't read the book. Examples of like there are no real consequences. Right at the beginning, Nana's fucking house burns down. But don't worry, literally a day later, all the fillers are like, here you go, have a new house, which is just not explained.
Well, no, it's explained because Nana's been so good
Yeah.
to everyone that they just like up and get her one. But that's just, it's a continuing trend where there's something always there to like, you know, like in the scene where they're about to all suffocate and die in the simulated Mars habitat. The way that's solved is that Aurora and Paper figure out, oh, just like have everyone sit under this tarp, and we like the half-working oxygenator machine that we made will be enough there to let us hold out until people come to rescue us.
And there was like a reverse vacuum involved or something.
Yeah.
They're just like, there's just always some insane way that they get out of insane problems, no matter how goofy the problem or solution for that matter. And that, I don't know. There are just never any consequences. One person dies in this whole thing, and I didn't particularly care about the trillionaire. I don't know about you, Chris, but like...
You're supposed to kind of suspect Zach as like being like nefarious in some way, but he's just fine the whole time. Same thing with Aurora, right? Like you're supposed to suspect Aurora as like this sort of like nefarious scheming person. And she kind of like insinuates that she might be trying to undermine Paper at a certain point, but then she just hops right back into, you're my sister. Like, we're kind of the same.
Yeah, she exposes her as a filler to everyone, which, you know, should have plunged Paper into death. But somehow Paper forgives her, and they love each other like sisters. That was also confusing. I don't know if I could really get over... Maybe, you know what? Paper's a better person than me. I don't know if I could get over...
She's such a lovely, wonderful woman, as you said, Para.
I don't know if I could get over someone revealing my identity and therefore killing me and my entire family.
Yeah, that would be a big column in the not buds section for me. Totally not into it anymore. But like, but it's like all smooth. Even again, so like the fact that Paper is about to be executed, but then, I mean, they did kind of set this up with the whole dead body database, get out of jail free chip, but then also Angel. Like, there's just this one Gitano that is sympathetic to them and helps them because he's just such a nice guy and he never wanted this mobster lifestyle, you see. But
and,
you know,
and there are just so many instances of this. I mean,
must
especially...
have done that with other, like, there's been other prisoners that he's had to see executed or something, right?
Well,
like,
none of them were cute and young and single.
I suppose.
Right? I guess, even though I don't know if that's true, but... Yeah, and so this happens over and over and over again. I mean, I don't think we need to continue giving more examples. So again, it never feels like there are consequences, which makes the book really boring. Because after the first few scares, and then nothing bad ever happens, you're like, okay, well, clearly nothing bad is ever going to happen. And guess what? You're right. Anything bad that happens is immediately rectified. And there's always a happy ending. I don't know. Yeah, I found it very
sort of
boring.
Truth syndrome.
What?
Sort of truth syndrome.
I mean, and Demon Pig had the same problem, but at least Demon Pig was making fun of itself and the genre, so it was like more excusable, and it was funnier. It was funnier, and it was clever. Oh, anyway. There's just a long list of like other things that I didn't like. Actually, do you want to talk about the dead body database right now? Since we just brought that up before we go on. Yeah,
because this was a confusing part for me as a whole. I understand that, okay, the idea is that Jane, who had worked for Wasteway before, had some kind of way inside their other databases, or like, I couldn't understand if she was just like hacking into things or she was physically going somewhere to uncover this evidence.
So she worked at Wasteway... And I don't know how, but she somehow was able to match DNA from all these murders to specific coordinates within like the trash pile. But it says at the beginning that there's a big trash dump that's like churned and ground up by a big claw. So like, how are you finding body coordinates if it's getting blended into a big blender of garbage?
I mean, it seems really dumb where if you have one pile of things that is getting churned up all the time and another pile that's not getting churned up, that you wouldn't put the dead bodies in the one that gets churned up so that you could not be discovered for having the dead bodies.
Right, you'd want to churn the bodies so that all their shit's all mixed up and becomes
so someone
soil.
Couldn't get specific coordinates in a trash pile.
Yeah, so that was weird. I mean, I guess the only other alternative to this I could think of that would make sense is that she was just able to pick up that their DNA was in the trash pile at all. But then it's like, trash is covered in people's DNA. So what does that even prove? I just don't think
none of this seemed like hard evidence at all.
No, there's no, unless she could prove like it's 99% of their body's DNA, which even in 64 years, I don't know that we'll get to that point. Because like, think about it. So much trash and garbage has people's DNA on it. If people are traveling around the country, you know, if you're not a filler, things are presumed to be fairly normal out there. It just doesn't, it doesn't seem like this, I've got the mob family now. Like, it doesn't make sense. So
also, if they were able to murder and cover up the murder of presidents and senators, why would a filler be any trouble for them?
Yeah, a filler and her mom, like, why would that be a problem? Yeah, I don't know.
If the data comes out after they're dead, you can just be like, fake news.
I'm sure fake news is at a whole other level in 64 years. So yeah, that sounds right to me. Speaking of the year, so it's 2085. I guess the thing I didn't like about this is that it's too similar to the present. Like, the author didn't add in any sort of future slang or mention any country borders changing. Everything's just too similar to the present day. I mean, 64 years from now, the world is going to be very, very different.
Oh, yes.
I am going to be dead. Yeah, probably. I mean, unless I get real lucky, I'm going to be fucking dead. So I just can't, and if you think about 64 years in the past, people spoke differently. There was different slang. Mm-hmm. I just wanted a little things to be livened up and like futurized a little bit more.
There was a nuclear reactor in the car. It was run by nuclear reactor. Isn't that enough for you, Paris?
No, it's not enough. I need more future frosting on my sci-fi cake.
that was like the one different thing, aside from the fact that they're going on a manned mission to Mars, that kind of thing.
And there's like checkpoints, which brings me to my next point. So there are checkpoints you have to drive through, like they're toll booths, but they're really DNA checkpoints. And Jane and Paper, Paper's Phil City is in New York. Mm-hmm. It's Manhattan, right? Mm-hmm. I think it's
Long Island, actually.
Long Island, sorry. Is Long Island? It's one of the New York Harbor Island. I don't fucking know. Anyway, so she escapes from there and her mom picks her up and they have to drive all the way to California. So that's, 3,000 some odd miles. So they have to keep hitting toll booths. And at these toll booths, they have to provide DNA cards. And every time they get checked and it's fine. And I'm like, you're both fucking fugitives. If you have an extradition treaty with the US for fugitives, why wouldn't their DNA ping when they got checked at the checkpoint? I just don't fucking get that part. So I know Paper had just escaped and they may not have known, but Jane had been on the run for 20 years. She had like a full false identity
and paperwork though, didn't she?
No.
I thought like all her filler buddies gave her like this false identity paperwork.
Yeah, but her DNA.
Yeah, you can't physically change your spit.
That's what I'm saying. I don't, because I remember Jane was like, "Oh, it'll show that we're a familial match." Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe they did have some form of fake IDs and I missed it, but like, how does that work if you run? I guess maybe someone could have hacked in and changed their names that were matched to the DNA in the system, but that wasn't clear to me. So, but the whole point being is like, if it's a DNA check system, you would put you would say, okay, a person with this DNA has gone missing. They're not going to check a name. the DNA is going to pop, right? Not the name. That doesn't make any sense.
What?
Yeah,
I mean, like, you're right about it. Like, that part confused me as well. And then, like, the only thing that really happens with regards to this is that there's the corrupt toll booth guy who isn't, he's not hassling them because of their DNA popping in the wrong spot. It's just because he sees the lucky red scarab token and he wants the spot on the Mars mission, I guess.
Oh, sorry. I think I figured out what the problem was. Phil City 1 never established a DNA database like the government did. So I guess they never had paper or Jane's DNA to, like, submit with their extradition requests.
Specifically Phil City 1 only?
Yeah.
That seems convenient.
Yeah.
That's equally stupid in the opposite direction.
I agree. And it's because it says, like, there's no way you can fake that our DNA is like a familial match. And I just saw, like, the next paragraph, a couple paragraphs later, it said Phil City never had a DNA database. So, well, I agree. That's stupid in a different way. All right. Sorry, we figured that out on air, live.
We could be wrong. We can be incorrect.
Oh, we often are.
Loud and wrong. Terrible.
Loud and wrong. Mostly shitting on a story.
Yeah.
Thanks, review.
Not totally incorrect, reviewer.
But I think you missed some points there. All right.
Yes.
Sorry, Chris. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just discovered that answer to the mystery.
No, please interrupt when we're both being dumb about something.
Still think the dead body database is not a problem and did not matter.
Yeah, that still doesn't make any sense. You can't match physical coordinates in a garbage dump. They're not tagging. Paris, you telling me that they're tagging the location of every last Gatorade bottle and, like, used yogurt container and takeout bin and condom wrapper in the like. No. There's somehow the only other way is if Jane physically went into the garbage dump and dug through it looking for a dead body, right? Those are the two ways.
Yeah,
either she went into the garbage dump, or there was a lengthy database that the Gitanos make of every single piece of trash and where it is.
No, they're very clear that Jane made the whole thing herself. So.
No, I understand that's the dead body database, but I'm saying if you want to know where a specific piece of trash is...
No, they don't have it. No, it's very specific that they don't have any modern technology. They prefer to do things the, quote, old-fashioned way because, I don't know, the Italian mob, shrug.
So then the only way Jane could possibly get any coordinates is by physically going to the dump and digging through it, right?
Which is pretty noticeable.
What's the only other way? Give me some other explanation. A drone that digs through it, perhaps?
No, Chris, I think this is just bad. Let's move on.
I'm trying. I'm trying to give this book some credit. That's all.
Chris is stuck in the fill. Stuck in the pit. Gotta get him out.
I'm digging through all this garbage trying to find a coherent plot.
I think I see Chris's DNA. Quick!
You're stopping me at all the plot checkpoints here and, like, taking the plot DNA and still not pop it. I can't finish that joke. I don't know where it was going.
That's okay.
My jokes have plot holes now.
Oh, I think you had a point that I agreed with about some more dumb plot shit. Speaking of plot holes, do you want to talk about? I mean, it's your note, so I'll let you.
Oh, this is one. Like probably the most infuriating thing in the whole book to me, and it's infuriating to me whenever I see it in any piece of media whatsoever. Usually, when there's some character that's like very smart and is always on top of things, is one step ahead of people. Okay, so at a certain point in the story, Jane is arrested for being a fugitive. So apparently, the DNA did pop at some point, right?
No, she was trying to steal a car, and they figured out she was a fugitive. I don't.
Why? Because the DNA popped somewhere?
Yeah.
How'd they figure it out?
I don't know.
Maybe her Phil City, but had the data. I don't. All right, fuck that. Anyway, so she gets arrested, and she has a photo taken by it's in some newspaper, right? It's just like some journalist takes a picture of her.
Yes.
And in the picture, Jane is holding up her hands so that they're making a 0 and a 1.
Oh, I think they know who she is because she tells them, because she wants Paper to see she wants them to know she's Paper's mom.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, she's holding up her hands to show 0 and 1, which is Aurora's contestant number on the show. So Jane got arrested on purpose and had because she knew she would have a picture taken of her where she could hold up 0-1 to warn Paper about Aurora, even though Aurora, at the end of the book, isn't a threat at all. So this is just Jane's hunch that Aurora is bad news for some reason, or a plant of some kind.
Yeah.
So why do this? First of all, the part where you're like, oh, I know that she's going to see this picture, and I know that Aurora has something to do, something shady going on here. I hate when something in a plot is based on like extreme probabilities lining up of Jane having this particular photo taken of her, and like, what if the journalist or the photographer used another picture where she wasn't holding up her fingers that way? Yeah. What if he went from a different angle? What if Paper never saw the fucking photo?
Right. I know.
I hate when this style of like plot revelation is
and that
used.
and that happens throughout the entire book. This ties directly into what we were talking about earlier, how there's really no consequences, and there's always like a backup plan to the backup plan, and something that saves them in X situation and Y situation. It's all like part of all of that is this sort of structure where all of these unlikely probabilities all line up together to produce the desired result.
Also, Jane got arrested on a hunch that Aurora was bad.
Right, and then Aurora wasn't even bad, so like, what was the point of that?
Extremely risky. I guess you could maybe say, oh, it's because she knew that then later Paper would get thrown in the same prison cell as her, which is another extreme probability thing lining up for us here. But I don't think she even says like that was the plan either.
No, I don't think so.
So ultimately, it's just a really fucking boneheaded move.
Yep.
To get yourself imprisoned by the family that wants to kill you.
That you're trying to unmask. Yeah.
I really don't like it. I don't like it just never is satisfying when that's the way that things work out for the characters in any form of media.
Yeah, I agree. I have this other very specific bone to pick with this book, in that at the very beginning, the book opens with this scene. It says, "Tell me everything, Paper, from the beginning." It's a lot. You sure you want me to go all the way back? Yes. Okay, well, the day I was born... Wait, hold on. I look over to the display across the 2-tank chamber I'm trapped in. In 92 minutes, it'll either light up green, indicating I'm going to live, or it'll light up red, indicating this ship and me will explode into teeny pieces no bigger than 50 microns in diameter. So no, I don't think I have time to go all the way back to the day I was born. So it begins with this framing, which is a framing I hate, where the main character is like, oh, I have to tell my life story, but like I'm about to blow up or die or be cut in half by a laser or something. And then the author never fucking ties it up.
Oh, yeah,
so
I completely forgot about
it. It starts with this frame, and there's no bottom to that frame. The story just fucking keeps going right through. And
I completely forgot this was part of this book, and you start talking about it. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, that's how it starts. So this scene does happen later in the book, but it doesn't pick up by saying, and that's where we are now, where I am at this, he just forgot he did it, and no one caught it, and it went to press this way.
No, Paper is still telling the story as it's happening, so it constantly, as the things are happening, she's narrating out loud, and that person is still interviewing her the whole time. You just never talk.
But no, it should tie up with when they get to the part where she has to hold this piece of putty on a crack in the spaceship for 2 hours or 3 hours or whatever. It should resume and say, okay, and that's where we are right now. And then she can continue telling the story. But like, don't fucking leave me hanging with this frame with 3 sides. God damn it. Son of a bitch.
Painting keeps falling out on the floor all the time.
Yeah, so please, if you're going to frame your story, please resolve the framing at some point. Don't just fucking start it and forget.
Like
and then
the basic thing to keep track of.
How many people didn't notice? How many editors and people, what did this go through? Is this like a major publication?
I mean, I guess at there is that point where she's like holding a putty against like a crack in the...
That's the scene, but they never like, tie it up, you know?
Yeah, it's just like there's a period, it's just like, and then I stood here holding it for 2 hours, and it's like, okay, so I'm just supposed to assume here is where... But then again, I totally forgot about that part by the time I got to that part in the book, so...
Anyhow. And let's see, where are we now? There's a rock climbing scene that makes no sense to me. So there's a scene where Paper helps a teammate climb a rock wall to win a challenge. So she breaks the rules by helping someone. And it's this big deal. You know, the crowd loves it. Viewers at home love it. So her team wins the challenge. So the thing that I don't get is that Paper she just broke some ribs. And I understand that adrenaline plays a role here, but she just broke ribs. She's in a lot of pain. But she goes over to the rock wall to help her overweight teammate up a rock wall. So the thing is, at first I was like, oh, she helped her get on the wall. But then I realized that she actually went up with her to the top of the wall. I don't know how the fuck that's possible. When you're climbing, you need to have both your hands and arms engaged in general. Just because you need all points of contact to stay on the wall. Because your body wants to fall off of a rock wall when you're climbing.
Because of gravity, right?
Right. So
see, I know things.
Right. So, I mean, some basics are like, you try to keep your center of mass close to the wall. So you don't want to like be hanging off the wall like a monkey, right? You want bent elbows. You want to have your chest, your torso.
You want to be making out with the wall.
Your butt. Yeah, you're fucking going at that wall like you're 14 and you're in the back of a car. All right. So, yet, Paper is supposed to be climbing this wall and pushing the ass of this other her overweight teammate. And I keep saying overweight because I'm imagining like pushing someone up who is, your weight or lighter is one thing, but someone who's even heavier than you while you're also holding your own weight on the wall.
Also, your ribs are broken.
Also, your ribs are broken. Like, I know they went through a couple weeks of like intense physical training, and I know adrenaline is a factor, but like, I'm still pretty skeptical. I also don't know how high the wall is, but they made it seem like it was a decently long route. Look, man, I haven't gotten on a wall in like a year because of the fucking pandemic, but I like rock climbing, and I'm not very good at it, but like, I just imagined trying to push someone's ass while also trying to hold on to a rock wall hold. And I was like, I don't know how this is possible.
All right, Paris, listen, when everything's cool again, you and I are going to go to the rock climbing gym. I'm going to shatter your ribs. And then you're going to help me climb up the rock wall for my first time ever climbing a rock wall, which is roughly equivalent to what was happening here.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. Except for my broken ribs. I don't know how I'm going to feel. Could you just like punch me real hard?
Take one for the team, Paris. No, we have to scientifically prove this.
I mean,
you're getting the hammer.
You heard it here first. If my ribs are broken in the next few months, you know who did it. Yeah, I don't know. And again, I know this is like a really small part of the book, but it bothered me. And again, I mean, this was not a harnessed climb. This was, this was just bouldering.
Fucking free solo over here.
Oh no. Well, yeah, no, yes and no. It's bouldering, there's obviously a pad underneath. You're not outside free soloing.
Obviously, of course. We all know this.
Because it's a competition indoors, and they said, I think they said there was like padding or whatever. So
yeah.
So it's bouldering. So you're not roped in. You don't have a harness or anything. So anyway.
Is bouldering? Why is it called bouldering? Is there a pebbling?
No, because the routes are set up like you would climb a boulder outside, because boulders aren't the side of a mountain.
Mm-hmm.
for top rope climbing, which you usually do on like a cliff face on a mountain. That's why you're like, locked into something for safety. But bouldering, if you're climbing a boulder, it's only going to be a few feet high, so it's a smaller rock formation that you're climbing. Bouldering is usually more technical, whereas top roping is more endurance. Anyway, bleh.
Thank you for explaining. I wanted to know.
Thanks for coming with me on this journey. All right,
I won't shatter your ribs next time.
Thank you. See, was
You've
it so
earned
hard to not shatter my ribs, Chris? Let's see. Some other dumb shit I hated in this book. Oh, fuck. All right, so Aurora is a pop star. Get this. And so there's a couple of times
I gotta look for some of these.
There's a couple of times where she sings and they provide you with like the lyrics. Oh man, are they fucking bad? And it's funny.
Paris, I'm gonna be honest with you. Anytime I see a sung verse or a song in a book, I skim it. I don't read the whole thing because it's never good. And like I feel like as a musician, I'm always trying to like write a melody along with it, and it never works. And I feel dumb, and it seems dumb. And I don't. Do you also try to like write melodies along with it when you're reading these songs?
Oh yeah, something always pops into my head. All right, so here's the thing that killed me. So the scene is Aurora and Paper are they snuck into Aurora found a closet that didn't have cameras in it on the reality show. So she snuck in some tequila, and she and Paper decide, she's like, "Oh, Paper, come in here. Let's have some tequila." And Paper's never had tequila. So they have some drinks, and Aurora's like, she's like, "Oh, I'm working on a song." She goes, "I'm working on the title song to her album, Rocket Girl." She clears her throat and sings, "Rocket girl, I'm going far. Gotta leave now, sail through the stars. If you look real hard, I'm that dot in the black. Will you be waiting if I ever get back?" Sorry, that was my really dumb, bad pop song. And
ready for some cool compositions under that one, Paris.
Very lame. My point was that it's very lame. And Paper this makes Paper cry. I was like,
so moving.
Like, look, dude, I know you just had a bunch of tequila, but like, "Rocket girl, I'm going far. Gotta leave now, sail through the stars. If you look real hard, I'm that dot in the black. Will you be waiting if I ever get back?" Hardly a tearjerker. Seemed really weird.
I mean, maybe like if you're making friends with a person outside of Phil City for like the first time, and that person expresses sort of like a confidence in your ability to do things, which is sort of like what this song is. It's like also like Aurora talking about herself too, but like I think Paper takes it as like, "That could be me. I'm the Rocket Girl."
It's very lame, is my point. It made me laugh instead of get emotional, which is, the opposite of, I assume, what the author was going for. There's also another part in the book where there's two members of the crew on the reality show named Drew and Skylar. And towards the end, they start dating. There's this running joke about how, "Oh, we're all together long enough. We're going to start dating. Everyone's going to start dating." They start calling them Drewlar, like Drew and Skylar. And I was like, you missed a fucking opportunity. Drew and Skylar's portmanteau should clearly be screw. Like, that's way funnier to me. Like, why would...
You told that to me. I saw that in the notes, and I was like, this is funnier than anything in the book. This is just a better joke than anything that was actually in the book.
Yeah, like, wouldn't it be... Because they keep running off to screw, which is, like, perfect. They keep running off to fuck. And it's like, how can you see Skylar and Drew and not go, "Oh, look, Screw's off screwing again." Like, come on. It just would have been Drewler. Oh, come on, people. The joke is right there. You just got to grab it off the shelf.
It's on the top of the joke garbage pile. You don't even have to have any coordinates or anything. It's right there. Chris, you have some other notes I'll let you get to, but those are sure
my petty problems.
How about while we're still being nitpicky, this is again our personal TBC pet peeve, as you've all got accustomed to. You don't have to have the romance subplot. It's super. Don't stop doing romance. Fucking stop. Cut it out.
Especially in this story where the romance subplot was like maybe a total of 10 lines of the entire book, and it made no difference.
You don't fucking need it here. There's even a part early on where it's like, oh, Benji, the contestant, is also nerdy. Like, Paper, they're gonna get together, and they're like, nah, we're just gonna be buds. And I was like, hooray, thanks, there's just an opposite sex friendship that's not a big deal at all, and we don't have to do this romance thing. But then later we throw in this romance, barely a subplot. It literally, Paper gets imprisoned by the Gitanos. Angel is there helping her negotiate her way out of the situation because he doesn't like his family that much because he's just such a nice guy. Oh, he's just born into this shitty family. And they fall in love with each other because reasons. I think it's like maybe it's posited that, you know, oh, Paper just had some Stockholm syndrome and this was like the one person helping her or something, but then she escapes and it's still the same feeling, and she's like, no, it's totally not that. I just really like him. And she liked him before it's not even because like he saved their lives or anything. It's just, oh, he was cute. The end. I'm in love with him. We're going to get like.
She literally says, "I can't wait to marry that boy." At the end,
what?
And you're
like what? Why?
Yeah.
Why?
I mean,
you were asleep for 3 months in space of this like 6-month relationship, and then there was the 3 months coming back where you were asleep again.
Yeah,
So in total.
And the thing is, like, if it's trying to be irreverent and make fun of stories like this, it didn't do a good job because it seemed very genuine the entire time.
No,
the writing seemed very genuine.
Like jokey or funny. This is definitely not some kind of sarcastic take on like, oh, because even on the back of the summary that we read there, it's like adventure/love story. No, it's not. It's not a love story. There's like 10 pages of this book that maybe talks about these two loving each other so much.
Unless he's talking about the familial love or the love between Paper and Aurora, I guess you could argue for the Paper and Aurora love story development.
Actually, that's a way more compelling love story in this book is the Aurora and Paper thing.
Yeah.
The sisterly bond is much more compelling than anything else.
Well, right, which is why I wish they would have focused on that and the family. They did a good job focusing on the familial love relationship. The Aurora and Paper thing, I found it difficult to believe that they would feel so close to one another, given everything that happened.
Yes.
So I had a little bit of a hard time with that, but still, I would rather us focus on that than. I love this random mob guy because I saw him for 5 minutes once, and then I was in space for a year, and now we're getting married, I guess. I don't know.
I don't get it. Stop putting needless romance subplots in your books. Look,
Please stop.
Listen, I think we also should clarify here. TBC is not necessarily 100% against all romance or sex scenes of any kind. We've had a couple examples of things that we thought were well done here.
I love how we always have to give this disclaimer because everyone thinks we hate love. Haters of love. I mean,
it's not true.
No, it's just that it's so overused and boring, and there's just way too much emphasis on the importance of heterosexual romantic love.
And like just being in a relationship because that's a thing you're supposed to do, and that's like how you know everything's going fine. It's like, oh, I solved the adventure, and also I have a love interest. Therefore, everything is going great in my life.
Yeah, like, why couldn't it just be you solved the adventure and then you planted a tree? Like, and now everything's good. Or, and then you got a puppy. Or, and then you wrote a book. Or, and then you went on vacation. Or, you know what? And then I had a fucking hot chocolate. Like, I don't know why everything has to end.
It does, like, there's other pleasures in life that we can end on or, like, look forward to. Again, I'm not, I have a partner. You have a partner. We're not some sort of, like, you know, asexual, like, no love ever kind of thing. That's fine, too, if that's your thing, of course. But, like, it just doesn't have to be such a integral part that has to be shoehorned into every goddamn story ever.
And this shoehorn was like jagged. It was gonna give you tetanus. It didn't even
go in a shoe. It went in like a fucking shirt or something. Like,
I mean, it was real horned in there. It was real. Somebody just shoved it in. Like, they had to cut the limbs off this love subplot to get it in there. Like,
they really did, because there's nothing here for like
No.
this is one of the most egregious examples of this that we've seen.
yeah. And the weird thing is that the book, makes fun of a lot of these tropes about romance with the reality show, but the weird thing is that it's all real. They're like, oh, haha, of course somebody got married, but like, no, they really love each other. And it's like, dude, it's not funny if it's not fake, right? You're supposed to be making fun of.
I don't know. I might disagree. Like, it could be funny if two people are like stupidly in love and like actually legitimately are, if they're like completely stupid about it.
No. I meant for this book, if it's supposed to be irreverent fiction, we're supposed to be having a laugh at things, and we're not having a laugh at reality TV though. We're just reading a story about reality TV. We're not critiquing it at all.
Which, by the way,
kind of dumb.
Kind of another point that I made here is that the reality TV show part of this is the plot, right? Like, most of the book is actually them going through the challenges. Mm-hmm. And you would think like more of it would be the Gitano conspiracy subplot thing that's happening here. But that doesn't really rear its head. Like, I guess, like, in the segment where Paper is captured and put in the holding cell with Jane is kind of like where it pops up again. And that's like midway through the book for like 30 pages maybe. And then they're back into the whole game show thing until the government is like, hey, you better stop going to Mars, which is, again, related to the Gitano subplot, but basically it's just a way to speed up the last segment so that they go to Mars and they find the superfuel, which is when the whole conspiracy comes back to a head in like the last 80 pages or so, and they just find the fuel there. There's just bubbling out the surface of Mars, just there.
No, they were drilling and it came up during a drill.
But that's still pretty fucking close, right? Like, True. It's like if you just drill randomly and it's there.
They were on the planet for like an hour.
Yeah.
Like
if
10 minutes.
If it's just right, if it's just like you stick a drill anywhere and it's like, I drink your milkshake almost instantly. Also, if this is like only on Mars, how did the Gitanos know about it to cover it up? Was there some other sample? There's not like a meteor from somewhere else was discovered with this. They never insinuate that. The Gitanos just know about it.
There was an explanation.
Did they send a probe or something?
Hold. Do-do-do-do. 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 I saw something I wasn't supposed to, a report about a compound containing an element that's not even on the periodic table. Wasteway is covering up something. I know it.
Where did they find the compound to have a report on it?
Dude, I don't fucking know. If no
That's
one's ever been to Mars, God damn it.
Well, they said first manned mission, so maybe Wasteway sent out a probe to Mars.
Wait, no, because we were talking about, I mean, we have rovers on Mars right now. We just sent up, what's his name? What's his name? What's her name? The first one was Curiosity, and then we just sent up
Perseverance?
Perseverance.
Is that it?
Right?
I think so.
Fuck. I know they made it a lady rover.
Yes,
Perseverance, yes.
Yeah.
And then they mentioned one called Inquisitor that went
that's
up.
right, because oh shit, this is actually another thing that I totally forgot about.
Yeah.
They mentioned like isn't there a line in here about like, oh, we can't send anything over there to contaminate the Mars because there might be like human biology on the rover or something?
Yes.
They make sure they don't do that. When the rovers that we build over here, they're built in like quarantine things with people wearing like biohazard suits that they're deloused in before they get into, specifically so there is no human material on the other planet to be detected to like throw off calculations or anything. So we've been doing that already. That's not a problem. Just a minor nitpick.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's really no... So fine. I'm guessing but then if the government knew about it, why wouldn't the government be up there trying to get this fuel? Like,
because the Gitanos didn't send out Inquisitor.
No, it was the federal government. So
the Gitanos are, assumingly they're tied up in the government if they can have like a bill passed to like don't go to Mars overnight too. But it's just a lot of moving parts that have to line up perfectly for them to know about it and also cover it up completely.
Yeah, they'd have to be threatening to kill a lot of people.
Also, if you're tied up in the federal government so much anyway that you can cover it up, wouldn't you just get a monopoly on the contracts to mine things from Mars and still maintain your fuel monopoly that way?
That's also what I was thinking. I was like, why wouldn't they just go after the fuel and try to privatize it like they did with waste? I mean, it just seems... Yeah, what you just said exactly is what I was also thinking about. And I was like, I don't get why they didn't just do that.
So, yeah, we've been going on for 45 minutes now just about all these different little plot holes or like loose ends that... Maybe if there was just one or two of them in the story, it would be fine, but there's so many little things that just kind of make this ramshackle plot barely float along to the end, limping back into the space station for refueling.
Well, and then there's Zach Larson, the trillionaire, who's running the show and who just, he explains that he knows so much about the contestants and has all these like plan B and plan C and plan D for everything because he has placed microphones in all of the winning scarabs so that he can listen in on all of these people's lives so that he knows how to fuck with them or reward them on the show. How do you have time for that as a trillionaire?
I'm assuming he has to outsource that to like people that listen and edit things for him, right? Like if you're a trillionaire, you could pay the exorbitant cost. It would be like, hey, sit in this room and listen to this person's life and just cut out the good parts for me.
I mean, Russia did that. They probably still do. So yeah, I don't, it seemed a little much.
He doesn't really use it except for like against paper though, right? Like,
no, I mean, that's how he designs the show, like how to punish or reward them for things or whatever. But he's a kind of a loose end to me because as we casually mentioned earlier, turns out he is also an escaped filler. And how many people are just always escaping these cities and no one ever captures them? So what Phil City was he from? If he was, so we've established that Phil City 1 doesn't have a DNA database, but there's, I think, 12 other Phil Cities around the world. So do all of them not have DNA databases? And even so, I mean, Zach Larson achieved, notoriety with his vast wealth.
Someone would be like, hey, it's that guy that I don't see so much anymore.
I mean, he's also in his 60s, so... He would have escaped, I guess I don't know when he escaped, but presumably when he was young. Anyhow, turns out he's a filler and that's why he likes paper and like has tried to help her so much. But Chris, I think you pointed out, if you're a filler and you care so much about fillers, why didn't you try to do anything before this fucking reality show moment?
Yes, exactly. Zach Larson just escapes and like builds his riches and does nothing to help the plight of his community.
Yep.
Which I guess might be, not unheard of in real life.
Oh no, believable, but yes. But they build the character to be this. This is another thing I didn't like is that they build this trillionaire to be this loving, kind trillionaire mogul of a social media company, and it's just like, come on, y'all.
But he didn't really use his resources to help much of anyone. He just used it for his pet project to go to Mars. Which again,
and also to get Elon Musk's Tesla out of space.
Yeah, so specifically, that's the thing I was about to say is that he's very clearly an Elon Musk-alike, even as so far as that he goes and gets that Tesla that Elon Musk fired into space to be more like Elon.
Yeah, and so when he dies, it's like whatever. He gets stabbed. He dies. No, he gets stabbed. They put him in oh my God, the magical medical mummy bubble or whatever.
The Bacta tank. Yeah, the Bacta liquid tank.
And then he comes out for a minute and is like, Paper, I must tell you, I'm a filler. Also, I've left all of my fortune to you.
Like, why?
Very convenient, comes to for a minute to tell her that. When did he have time to change his will? First of all, when did he make this decision? They've been stuck. At this point, they had been in space and their communications had been cut off by the federal government for days, weeks. So when did he decide he was going to leave his whole life to Paper?
Some point during the competition, I suppose.
Why?
Why? Yeah, like, exactly. Like, why would you be like, oh, I like her. All right, she's going to get it all if I croak. Maybe like right before they left for space, he like handed it to his personal assistant.
I guess. I just don't understand why. Like, has he never had a friend that he liked in his 67 years of living?
Yeah, there's some fucking, like, that personal assistant, his Smithers has been by his side his entire life.
It was Drew or whoever it was on the crew.
Yeah. He hears about that, he's just like, what the fuck?
Spoilers for Knives Out in 3, 2, 1. If you haven't seen Knives Out, spoilers. This is just like Knives Out, where the main character leaves his fortune to his, like, part-time nurse because his family sucks. But they don't even say that Zach has a family because they're all fillers. Why wouldn't he leave his fortune to his filler family instead of Paper?
Fuck them. That's why.
Maybe they're all dead? I don't fucking know.
Yeah, it just... There's so many things in here. And, you know, when we were first talking about this, I was like, oh, this is fine. I kind of didn't hate my time with this book. I might give it a 5 out of 10. But the more we talk, Paris, the more I'm like,
yeah.
Like a low 4, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, guess what they name the element they find on Mars?
Oh, yeah. There's a stupid cap on everything.
Marsonium.
Oh, wow. So creative. Wow. So cool.
At least name it after Larson, who just died, or Paper, or Aurora, anyone who found it. Larsonium.
No.
Paper.
Yeah, it's right there. Just like one letter away, right?
Paperite. Larsonium. Like any... yeah, you're right. One letter away. I mean...
Literally next door in the alphabet, too. You just have to open the window and take... Oh, shit. That'll be a better way to do it, right?
Yeah, it just seemed really silly to name it Marsonium.
I think that's also a joke, Paris. Like, it's trying to be funny with how...
It's not funny at all.
I know, but I'm just trying to point out to you that I think the intent was for it to be kind of dumb.
Well, and the weird thing about this is that I thought this was a book for adults, but the more I read it, I was like, this is a young adult book, but I don't know if that's actually how it's marketed. I'm going to check right now.
How can you check how it's marketed?
It's usually listed as under a certain category in the, Audible. Oh, I don't want to go to Audible. Get out of here.
Ew, Audible. Who listens to books?
No,
who listens to people talk about shit? I mean, apparently a lot of our YouTube audience is people searching for audiobooks and landing on our podcast too. So that's who. Yeah, I just called you out. Fucking freeloaders looking for free audiobooks.
Hey, whatever.
We're not providing. Stop asking us to fucking read House of Night out loud.
Yeah.
Stop.
Well, what people don't understand is that that's not legal to do when a book is still under copyright. You can't read the entirety of it on the internet. You can't do that. It's like stealing any other kind of art. So please stop asking. It's not legal.
Once again, the worst offender of this is the fucking Hoe Tactics episode. What is wrong with you people?
No one wants to pay for Hoe Tactics. They just want those tactics for free. Free tactics. All right. It is listed under humorous science fiction, so not listed under young adult.
Yeah, this is just for anyone that wants some humorous science fiction. Because they say dog shit and fuck.
No, but this is just a kid's book. I mean, and I guess I don't want to say that as though like children's literature isn't good ever, but it's just so boring and simplistic, and there's just this childlike wholesomeness to it that instead of being endearing is just lame. That's the best way I can describe it. Very one-dimensional. Yeah, not for me. So I guess we're at the, unless you want to go for that last point, Chris, I think we're at the can we fix it part.
Yeah, let's go for can we fix it.
Okay. Yeah, there's this could have been cool. I think the idea of the Phil cities is good. I like the idea, I like the way that Paper and her family were constructed. It started off strong, started off fine, like something I would maybe read, while I'm waiting for something. Airplane book is kind of how I think about them. But it just became a Hallmark Channel original sci-fi Christmas story.
Wow, that's all of them in there. Wow.
It felt like a Hallmark Channel original sci-fi. It just was like
Wait, has Hallmark ever done sci-fi stuff?
No, that's my joke. It's
I
wholesome.
totally want to watch a sci-fi Hallmark movie, Paris.
Oh, Chris,
if they ever do that, I would fucking eat it up.
Chris, I think we did. I think we watched so much of that fucking show. What's that called?
Thinking of Dark Matter?
Kryptonite. Yeah, Dark Matter.
Dark Matter is in no way a Hallmark-ass show.
It's extremely lame and terrible.
In the production quality, sure, but not like the content of.
The content is super lame and terrible. Are you remembering the same show?
But like Hallmark stuff is like wholesome and like not dark.
This isn't. Anyway, moving on. I think we've talked about it. I would be more interested in this book if it made fun of sci-fi and itself, like Demon Pig did with fantasy. If this book did a little bit of that with sci-fi and futuristic stuff, it would be good. And also if there were real consequences to any of the characters.
Yeah, I wish there was a little bit more danger here.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I just need some kind of danger or dread or sharp conflict or horror, or I need something that is a real problem. Every time a real problem is presented in this book, I just rolled my eyes because I was like, well, what's going to be their zany fix for it this time? It really is like watching a cartoon. That's what this book reminded me of, watching a cartoon, and not a clever one, like a basic cartoon about a bunch of young people in space. And I don't know how many people really want to read something like that. I mean, I guess they must, because this guy seems to be a pretty popular author, but it is not for me. I need some kind of grit or edge to my books. I also need some kind of self-aware humor. If you're going for this irreverent sort of fiction angle, then you need to make fun of yourself and the genre, and this just doesn't do that at all. So yeah, and the pointless subplot of romance that doesn't make any sense. And I think we also discussed how much of a problem the dead body database really is. So several things could have been changed and this would have been good. I could see this being a good book because it started off really strong, but unfortunately this is, I think, as our patron Lucek said, not the kind of fiction for me, and I think I'm gonna fall in there with him, where this is just not the kind of fiction for me. I find it just uninteresting. I
mean, for me, I do generally kind of like this style when it's done well. In fact, I most of my like non-sci-fi or fantasy fiction, I would probably edge towards something like this, even without any sort of sci-fi or fantasy bent on it. I think this book could have done better with just a little bit tighter plot writing, like tying up at least half of these loose ends. Maybe if like they focused a little bit more. The Aurora Paper thing was pretty good, and I wish that was more of the heart of the story, is like their exact rivalry and how that relationship develops. It's kind of like Rocky in here, but like if Aurora hadn't been the one to throw Paper under the bus, if she perhaps had thought about doing it, but in the end was the one that like helped her out of that jam so that they could truly have a sisterly bond. Yeah,
or I was thinking the same thing, or if it was like she pulled Paper into that closet with no cameras and was like, I have your picture, and like tried to blackmail her. I feel like that's a little more recoverable than outing her so she potentially gets murdered.
Yeah, like she went straight for the nuclear option when she had the chance to do it. And so, like, that kind of a thing, I think if I don't even know how to fix the dead body database. Because, like, if you just have, like, the Gitanos have a database of their own dead bodies, that's the dumbest shit in the world for, someone trying to cover up a thing. So it, like, there had to have been some clear evidence of bodies being passed through the system somehow, besides just a vague hand-wavy, well, I found the coordinates.
Yeah, I think, honestly, if it could have been as simple as... Because it mentions how they the Gitanos use old tapes.
Yes.
They constantly keep everyone under surveillance. Why didn't you just find a way to save... If she had saved surveillance tapes of murders...
Sure.
And made copies, that would have been a way more compelling.
Yeah, like fucked over by your own insistence on using old technology or something like that.
Yeah, and I mean, you would see crimes being committed or bodies being dumped, right? You wouldn't be like, oh, someone's DNA is in here. Cool, it could be a yogurt cup or their water bottle, So, yeah, I agree with you there.
Other than that, I mean, like you said, it's the basic structure is fine and it starts out strong. So I wish it spent a little bit more time on this sort of like family outside of the family elements.
Yeah.
That is built up somewhat kind of, there's a decent attempt here. It's not total trash. And if you focus more on that, dump the whole angel thing entirely.
Agree.
This is another thing where you could have like been imprisoned with Aurora or something somehow for whatever reason. And they, maybe she got you out of that jam. Or Aurora was the one that freed you somehow through some other method.
Because she's a pop star and she knows mob people. I don't know. Anything.
Yeah, right? Like, yeah, not just like you happen to be in prison with your mom who happens to find all the presidential dead bodies or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think this book is really only for people who want something saccharine and feel good and, they just want an...
quick and easy.
Really happy, easy story in space. I guess this is for you.
This is a McDonald's chicken sandwich sci-fi novel, right? Like, it is cheap. It's kind of warm. It tastes fine.
It's got some crunch.
Yeah, if
just
you don't think
look
about
at the
it,
lettuce. Just don't open it.
Yeah,
just don't look inside.
Don't look at the lettuce for sure.
Don't look inside the sandwich.
But that part will make you sad if you inspect actually what you're consuming.
Yeah. Chris, since you didn't fill your notes in, I'm just gonna type McDonald's chicken sandwich.
For future reference, of course. When we go back to the episode docs, which we do all the time.
Well, when we have to prepare for another, for episode 200 or we've been doing this for 10 years, which is actually approaching.
Yes.
We've been doing this for 6 years.
Okay.
6 years.
Here we are.
Wow. I'm going to die reading terrible books, aren't I?
Oh man, the one that we're carving through right now. So there's going to be okay, so let's wrap this up actually this episode. Yeah. Why don't we? And then I can talk about future book stuff.
Okay, yeah, let's do the wrap up. So thank you, patrons. Once again, happy birthday, Lucek. Thank you so very much for being a patron for so long and for always sending us messages and stuff. Really appreciate it. Really appreciated your recommendation of this book for this year. It was I think it was worth reading, just for our own information.
This was one of the more painless ones. So thanks for that.
Yeah. I didn't like it, but it was easy to read. So thank you. And I think for us on this show, it was worth reading because it was a type of fiction that we hadn't read in the sci-fi realm. So, anyhow, thanks, Lucek. I hope you had a great birthday. And let's thank the rest of our patrons. So thank you to Dari, Greg, Veronica, Will, Dee, Jared, Lynn, Sinya, Yakub, Bobby Black Cat, Jensina, Mayo Cat, Elliot, Kieran, Martin, Jay, Scott, we already said thank you, Lucek, CTAP1, Miri, Yanka, Robert Allen Cook III, David, Julius, and Anna. Anya. I'm going to guess that that's Anya based on your last name, which I will not reveal. But if it's Anna, tell me I'm wrong. Thank you.
Couple of new faces in there. Thank you very much for joining the roster list.
God, we have had so many new patrons lately. I don't know what's going on, but thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, especially people that are joining at like the $10 tier.
Yeah, Jesus. You people
fantastic.
are crazy.
Thank you very, very, very much for patronizing our silly podcast. we hope you are enjoying the content we deliver to you.
Yeah, I guess I usually announce when people are new, but we're actually recording this episode out of order. So I think I wrote that in episode 111 in the 111 doc, and we're recording 112 before 111. So apologies. Thank you to our newest patrons. I want to say it's Julius and Anya are the two newest ones. Yes. Okay, cool. I was right. Yay. All right. But seriously, it's been raining patrons lately, and we really appreciate it. If we keep going like this, fingers crossed, we may be able to get that that transcription service going before next year. But we'll see. Right now, we're still working on getting that new art of Terriblo and getting you some fun stuff. It's
happening. It's close.
Yeah, like we've seen the concept art, and it's getting finalized right now, and it's great.
Yes, I'm doing something ridiculous with it for sure.
Yeah, for himself. Chris is having his own Terriblo party of one. Or party of two, him and Terriblo. So we're getting that new art, and we're going to put it on something small that we can mail to you. So if we don't have your address and you are a current patron, please give us your address so we can mail you something. It's probably not going to be for a while because we still have to figure out what we're going to put the art on once we get it. But in the next couple of months, you'll get something from the Terrible Book Club. And if you are listening and are not a patron, you can help support the show by becoming one. Or you can subscribe on YouTube. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or Goodreads. You could, I don't know, tell someone about the show, rant and rave about how wonderful or terrible it is, and just get people to listen to it.
Raise that brand awareness.
Yeah, you could share the show on a social media platform of your choice. And lastly, you could leave us some reviews. When we get new reviews, we're going to read them on the show. So please leave us some reviews. We like reading them, and they are nice to get. We also enjoy getting emails. That's actually is a way to support the show because it pulls us from the depths of misery that we are in after reading a terrible book. So we like nice emails.
Letting us know that you're alive and out there and listening and sentient and you have an opinion about our show. It's very nice to receive those emails from people that aren't, popping up in the YouTube comments or like becoming patrons or anything. Your voice is valued too in that it gives us the strength to push onward. And here is where I hint at the book that we're currently trying to slog through, Paris. So we did 111, which was a mercifully short thing, but absolutely confusing. You would have heard about that already, folks. But this next one is, let's say it's a property that we've probably been avoiding for quite some time, but eventually we had to have our run-in with it. And this is how we're choosing to do it. And it's like 600 pages, and I'm like 7 chapters in, and it's fucking absolutely mind-numbing. Why is this so popular, Paris? I'm going to leave it there.
Yeah.
Also, you might want to check out some new music from me and Graveborn, my metal band. We recently put out 2 singles.
Oh, these poor listeners. If they're still here, they're like, off, click.
Well, if you would like to listen to my musical output, and you can like leave your own nasty comments on that too if you so desire, or nice ones, you could also tell me if you liked it. I would either way, let me know that if you bothered to listen to it. You can check us out at gravebornma.bandcamp.com. Graveborn, Massachusetts, abbreviation for Massachusetts there. Graveborn Ma, get me the Graveborn over at the Bandcamp. You can check out our 2 singles, Coded Collective and Transmigrator, off of our upcoming album, Transmigrator. It's a continuous loop concept album. It's going to be pretty wild. I have some crazy video content coming out for it.
Actually, yeah, the video stuff is pretty cool, I will say. I enjoy the video.
So, yeah, if you like some angry metals, it's not angry in subject matter. It's just kind of, aggressive in tone. Go check out some of the new Graveborn. Maybe buy an hourglass because I made hourglasses.
Yeah, get cross promotion, Chris. Cross promotion.
Yes, sorry, I had to.
Luckily, actually, unfortunately, I have no music news. The thing I sang on, I keep thinking it's going to come out, and then it doesn't. So whenever it comes out,
I have a side project like that too.
don't we all? Oh man. Jesus Christ.
All right then, Paris. Is that it? Is that the cap on this? Are we going back into our cryogenic sleep chamber for 2 weeks?
God, I really have to pee. So this episode has to end.
Right.
Unless you want to record me flushing a toilet in a minute.
Nah,
This needs to
I don't think
be done.
No, if any listeners want to hear that, fuck off.
Yeah. Oh no, we're gonna get a fucking request for that. Anyway, on that note, happy birthday, Lucek. I don't know what year of birth. I don't know how old you are. I didn't say that right. I don't know what birth year. I don't.
Okay, clearly the piss is like getting up to your brain here, Paris. So let's just go.
I'm
Here.
experiencing sep piss
Your
right
piss
now.
brain is clogging up all your thought arteries.
I'm experiencing piss sepsis right now.
Okay. Seps piss. All right. Bye, Paris.
Bye.